Welcome to Vida with Dr. J, where life and technology intersect. Welcome back, everyone, to Vida. I'm your host, Dr. J. If you're listening to this as it drops, we are right in the heart of the holiday season. It's a strange, right? Suspended week where the days blur together, the leftovers are still in the fridge, and the world seems to take a collective breath. Outside my window right now, actually, it's for those of you in LA, it's raining. And there's something about the rain that acts like a natural reset button. I thought about, I should stay inside the house and enjoy it, but I did want to come out here and do this podcast. As we all know, the rain really forces us to be indoors. Speaking of being still, I want to share something personal that happened a few nights ago. My wife and I, we went out for dinner, and we try to do that as, part of our really staying consistent with us going out. It was really a small spot, a place where you really get to spend quality time with your loved ones and order some good food. But before we sat down, we were looking at each other and made a silent agreement to put our phones on silent and really leave them behind, whether it was in the car, but we did not want them in the table, nor did we want them facing down, completely gone. We wanted to really be present. We wanted to actually hear each other. And it's really wonderful when you sit down and talk to one another. Once I wasn't looking at my own screen, I did start to look elsewhere, and I looked around the room, and it was startling to me that there were a lot of folks sitting in silence that were scrolling through their gadgets while they were having, their dinner. And for me, it's, I'm not one to judge. I am a big fan of technology. However, having technology when you're having dinner, doesn't really allow you to be present with the person that you're in front of. I do believe that having a device in there makes you ignore to some extent the other person or not be fully present. We're all in the same room eating some food, but the reality, it felt like no one was actually there, and it hit me right then and there. And we've been talking about this for some time, where we spend so much time and in this podcast talking about life and technology, the AI, the gadgets, the future, that, we often neglect the concept of vida, which is the life part. So today I am going to change things up. For the next few minutes, we're going to talk about what's going on during the holidays and really think about unplugging as we go into the next few days of this break. With that said, done, it is the holidays. Christmas is here, the year's ending, and the new year is already creeping in. For a while now, I mentioned we talked a lot about AI and tech, and understanding it is the holidays, I do want to make sure that we spend some time on that front. This is the busiest time of the year, if you think about it, when it comes to technology. And it's been like that in November during Black Friday, going into December, and because of Christmas and all the holiday traditions that are out there. And the reality, retail systems are stressed, logistics are pushed to their limits, and data is flowing nonstop. And actually, while we were out at dinner, we went to this mall not far from us, and it was really busy. And you stop and you think about every transaction and everything that happens, and you really ask yourself, folks don't see the back-end systems and how they're performing, but they want some immediate transactions to happen. And technology has definitely evolved. And as we were having this conversation, I did get home and I started to read an article about Amazon's data factory. Now, I shop a lot at Amazon. And for us that really think about it, every click, every search, every order, every return, it's all driven by data, where logistics or warehouse have to talk to each other. Inventory has to move from place to place, and systems have to predict to some extent what you want to purchase. And that's why you get a lot of advertisements based on what you want. During the holidays, imagine that at scale, where folks are really looking at purchasing something for their loved ones, a gift, and They want this to be effortless and smooth, which is understandable as a customer, but it is the busiest time. Now, the reality is everything we see, whether it's a gift arriving on time, a last minute save, or a convenience that feels almost magical, there's a lot of back end planning, data pipelines, warehouses, and human coordination with machines, right? The Amazon data factory it's a good example, not a proud. Sorry about that. It's not flashy, it's not loud, but it's really powerful. And during the holidays, it does become impossible to ignore how much of our daily life depends on systems controlled by a very small number of companies. If you take a step back and you think about this, the realization, it stuck with me because it doesn't just apply to shopping, it applies to how we live. And all of this came about when I was looking at the facility that they just opened up for Amazon and their data center. I was really mind blown by that. And it's only going to keep transforming, and technology is going to keep getting more and more, whether it's better, whether it's advanced. But again, it is something that we need to sit down and talk about. Now, with that said and done, the all of this, so as I mentioned, it's scary at the same time to think about where we are and where things have been in terms of, I don't want to say politics, but over the past year, it feels really impossible to ignore that we've been divided politically, socially, culturally, technologically. No matter where you stand, it feels like everyone is yelling and really not listening to each other. And the reason I'm bringing this in is really talking about the holidays, the purchasing, and the gifts behind it, but also thinking about the end of year and how to disconnect and really talk about this heavy topic, which is often framed around being divided. And no matter what we do, it is 1 year down and we have a few more to go. And I do hope that we start steering in a better direction as a country. And once we, do have that landscape or change in landscape, we could have a conversation and a dialogue. Unfortunately, there's a lot of technology around politics and who controls that, and is something that, we should be able to disconnect. And quite honestly, it's scary, right? We often don't know what we don't know. And there's more and more technology firms that are quietly controlling more and more of everything. And that is scary. As a country that we don't want to be wrapped around oligarchs, it is something to think about. And this could be information, commerce, communication, and infrastructure. And we're seeing that in front of our eyes. And if people want to say that that's not true, I respect that and I, let them be. But we should all be concerned regardless of the politics, because when systems become that powerful, accountability really matters more than ever. And data around it is really what's driving most of the technology today. Now, going back with everything that we do and everything that's happening, there is a cost to everything that we see. It could be convenience, and we've built our lives around that, right? It's whether it's social media, whether it's purchasing, but it really comes down to the trade-offs behind those conveniences. And again, focusing on Amazon, their data factory really represents efficiency at its peak, but it also doesn't tackle the moral questions. It doesn't ask, those elements of health, sustainability, and really the human element of it for long term. Those questions to me are really tied to us as human beings. And as y'all saw last week or heard last week on my top 10 for EDUCAUSE, during the holidays and even now, we should really take some time to not only think as consumers, but really bring in our human hat and try to reconnect and think about ourselves and what's going to be good for us in all fronts. I do understand the digital life is really complicated, but it's something that we should be thinking about. And again, even then, digital life during the holidays, whether it's Christmas, whether it's being on our phone, whether it's checking messages or scrolling through feeds, we're together, but we're distracted. And again, going back to the beginning about being present for the holidays. I'm here recording this before I head off with my daughter and my wife to go enjoy a great movie. But yes, we have technology. I'm using technology to record this podcast. And yes, technology does help connect us, but it also pulls us away from the moment we're in. And again, I'm not saying tech is a villain. I'm not saying none of that stuff, but I do believe that tech is slowly shaping our lives without us realizing it, acknowledging it, or really thinking about it. And that's the part that the holidays often gives us that rare pause to think about it and notice that. And it also gives us a good moment to talk about everything and unpack everything that's going on, not to put ourselves down. It's a beautiful time of the year. Most of us are really getting into that Christmas festivity, but it is a time to stop, reflect, and think about everything that's going on around us. The world is becoming more automated, more optimized, and more data driven. And that is not going to slow down. What has to keep up in all of this is our humanity. We need better conversations, better boundaries, and better systems that serve people, not just profits. Technology should be there to support life. That is why and this show is about Vida. It should not replace it. It should not control it. It should not define it. Now, with that said and done, I did want to wish you all a happy Christmas. Hope you have a great time off disconnecting from all of this. Thank you for listening. Thank you for thinking critically. Thank you for staying curious. And as we head into the new year, my hope is simple. I hope we are less divided. I hope there's more intention with smarter systems and a stronger humanity. Enjoy the holidays. Take the break if you can and step away from the noise. The most important things in life still can be automated. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. I'll see you in 2026 and in the next chapter of Vida. Have a good one, everyone.